Hello. Welcome along to episode 274 of Adventures in Pop. My name is Simon Jacobs, and you are very welcome. And in this episode, I want to unveil my Spotify Wrapped. It is that time of the year probably for the third, maybe the fourth year in a row. I want to take you through my Spotify Wrapped for 2025 and try and discover, with your help, I hope, whether there's anything of any real value in Spotify Wrapped. So look, here's the thing. They send it out. It takes them a whole load of months of hard work with lots of people giving a Spotify Wrapped to every single person who is a subscriber to Spotify and all of the artists who upload music. So I get a slightly different thing from the people who are listeners or subscribers to the Spotify streams. And I get basically a breakdown of how my music has done over the last year. But it's done in such a way that, first of all, I would say I can gather most of this information anyway. And if I've been looking at Spotify for artists, I would know most of this. And then the second thing is the way it's kind of put together is pretty weird to me. And I guess the idea is I'm supposed to now share it with lots of people, and I probably won't. I will be sharing it with you just to show you why I won't be sharing it with anybody else, if that makes sense. So buckle up. We're going to go for a ride right through all of my Spotify for Artists Wrapped. I'll see you at the end of this lovely process. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get right into Simon Jacobs, Spotify Wrapped for 2025. Here it is, and you can see that. I mean, here's the design of the thing, and if you're looking at it, in the slideshow format, you will see that there's kind of constant movement. The red dots and the black dots turn to red dots, turn to black dots again. If you move your cursor around, it traces a line. So there's a lot of kind of movement and animation going on there. But that's, of course, that's not the real feature, is it? That's not why they send it to you. So I'm going to talk us through this thing and just try my very best to find value and worth in all the work that Spotify has done this year. Here we go. So I press the Let's Go button at the bottom and we're off and running. Now, this is something that's happened across the years, and this is a very much a Spotify kind of feature, and it tells you a little bit about the organisation, I suppose, because this is the kind of statements that pepper the whole presentation, and I find these statements meaningless and kind of irritating. And interestingly, I've had a look at Rothman and Jacobs and Goldhawk Fox's Wrapped for Artists. Even though the numbers are very different in each of those three cases, when it comes to kind of these platitudes, this was quite the year for you, that is unchanged. So everyone who's released anything, this was quite the year for you. Well, okay. Onwards. Okay, so the first bit of, actual fact here. Total streams, 127,000. Now, I don't know when they count the year from, but they sort of count the year, I think, from somewhere around October or November through to the following October, November. So it's a weird cut-off point for the year. Either which way, 127,000 it's not bad. It's not very good. I've had much bigger years, but I try not to get hung up on that kind of stuff. But there it is. It's interesting. Where does it go from there? Total listeners, 56.7 thousand. That seems quite small, but I think it's, at the moment, I know that number's going up, so probably next year's will be a bit bigger. But, again, let's not kind of get too worried or upset about that. Onwards, the total time streamed. Now, look, they've done this every year, 363,000 minutes, and then they break it down into hours, days, and weeks, and even months. And you'd be interested to know that in terms of months, that's about 8 months of total time streamed. Who cares? I mean, this really, to me, is irrelevant and sort of gimmicky, and I couldn't be less bothered about total time streamed. That seems like a metric too far for me, and it's just a bit pointless. Bless you. Onwards. Oh, by the way, all the way through this thing, at the end of every page, there's a little option for you to share it. And one of the problems I have with rap for artists generally is I don't know why I would want to share it with anybody other than myself. Basically, it would be the height of self-indulgence to genuinely be posting it to people saying, look at this, I'm brilliant. I'm sharing it with you because I want to kind of say, I don't really know what this is all about, and I won't be sharing it with anybody else. I'm not going to send it out as a thing to people, for goodness sake. Anyway, any set list would be lucky to have your top song. So what we're doing here is identifying the one track over the last 12 months that has done the best. And that one track is Stir the Pot, which was one of the singles of Might As Well Dance. Which, interestingly, I think that came out just at the point when that year break was kind of happening. So there it is, at 39.2 thousand. That's good. That's lovely. And then some of your fans' other favourites. So then we have the whole top 10, I think, here. Going from Stir the Pot at the top, It's You, It'll Take a Miracle, Magic Touch, in order, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And although you can't see it on the screen here, number 10 is Another Saturday. So a lot of the tracks, as you would imagine, a lot of the tracks that are from the album Might As Well Dance. And that isn't surprising to me or to anyone. That is the album that I released during the course of this 12-month period. Okay, so let's move on. What do we have next? The next one, Long Live the Album, says Spotify Wrapped. This is very ironic. If there's been one factor in the kind of death of the album, beyond all others, it is streaming. And Spotify leads the way in murdering the album. So I find that highly ironic. Maybe that's a tongue-in-cheek remark from Spotify, but I doubt it. Okay, let's go onwards. What are they saying here? They're saying, well, here was your favourite album in that 12-month period. Well, I only released one album in that 12-month period, and it was this. So I'm not surprised that that's there. It doesn't say it did brilliantly or did terribly. It just says this was your fans' favourite. And then it gives you basically your top albums for the year. So Might As Well Dance got 73.8 thousand streams, Baby Boomer 5.3 thousand, and Strange Alien from the year before 1.9 thousand. Great. Okay, Baby Boomer is a bit of an outlier there, but that's actually because the track Beat of the Bomb mysteriously got streamed a lot over a couple of days, probably illegally. I mean, I didn't do anything, I have to stress, but I think probably some bot farm somewhere decided that Beat of the Bomb would be a really good track to blow up, mind the pun. So that hence the 5,300 streams for Baby Boomer. Onwards, this year you really went places. So now we're talking about the geographical reach of my songs, which is always kind of interesting, although I'm not quite sure what you do with it. 163 countries, in fact. Good, that's lovely. And top countries, United Kingdom, Germany, Brazil, Nigeria, and the United States. Which is also interesting. A bit more mainstream countries, if I can use that term, than last year. I think I had countries like, North Macedonia last year. But look, so here we go. 5 perfectly reasonable countries. I'm not, I don't really mind what countries my songs appear in. That's lovely. Your music never looked so good. Let's see which of your canvases were fan favourites. This one went big, 217. That's Ibiza Sunset canvas. Then we've got It'll Take a Miracle canvas. They couldn't stop watching this, 573 views. Then we've got this one, Hit Different, 726. That's It's You views. Okay, lovely. Then it goes on to, it says something about the total number of canvas views, 2,400. I don't really get the point of the canvases, but, you play the game because you sort of feel like you probably should too. And then where do we go next? On to this year, we grouped all listeners and artists into clubs. And my music apparently is in the club Cloud State Society. Your club finds peace through music. New members are gifted houseplants. Now, look, I really don't know what we're talking about here. What it does then say is that 15% of global listeners are in this club. Now, I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know what the other clubs are called. I think that is a totally useless and irrelevant piece of information from Spotify Wrapped, which is actually confusing. So I just don't get it. Who's going to tell them, you or me? It wouldn't be Wrapped if we didn't talk playlists. Let's get into it. You were added to 3,500 playlists. That's quite good. I think that's better than last year. Your tracks were added 5,200 times. That's great. Your music was too good not to share. Your music was too good not to share. Okay, all right, go with that. And the number of shares is 182. That's not very many, is it really? So it obviously wasn't that good not to share. 182 total shares. That's lovely. It goes on then to say, what method were those shares shared by, if you see what I mean, which is not very interesting to me at all. 2025, the year your fans turned you all the way up. I don't quite know what that means, but I'm sure it's good. My playlist ads were 318% greater than the previous year. Now, interesting on this one, because when I looked at Goldhawk Foxes had more things that were improved this year from the previous year. Now, obviously, I don't have that. So what I'm deducing from this, and this also annoys me, Spotify Wrapped only tells you the things that have improved from the year before. So if the amount of saves and shares were down this year, which I suspect they were, because that is why they don't appear on here. Playlist ads are up, here it is, and the other ones are down, hence we're not going to talk about it. It makes the whole exercise pretty futile because you're not telling me the information that might be really useful. So I think that is a real problem, actually. I think it's kind of partial information trying to just make me feel kind of good about myself. And I don't need Spotify's help to do that, really. Okay, where do we go next? Growth looks good on you. Platitude. Another platitude. This annoys me as well. Growth looks good on you. Yeah, great. I'm sure it looks good on everyone. Where next? This year we looked past your top song and found that every track had its moment. Well, of course, every track had its moment. We analysed baselines to reveal which of your songs spiked above expectations, and they came up with It's You. Good, that's lovely. The Night Owl, a track the fans leaned on after dark. I don't know what that means. Does that mean that this was being listened to late at night? I got a bit confused when I saw The Night Owl because obviously I've got a song called Night Owl, which is probably my most streamed song still. So I got a little bit distracted at this point, but that's not what it means. It's nothing to do with another track of mine. It just says, here's a track that people liked and they seem to be listening to it after dark. What in what way is that relevant? Anyway, let's not get too heated. Let's move on. Ibiza Sunset, the party starter, the song that tends to kick off the weekend. Are they making that up or is that real? I just don't know. The Shared Treasure, Heartburn, the song that fans are more likely to share with others. Okay, that's nice. It'll Take a Miracle, a fan favourite for starting the day. Really? Okay. In 2025, your biggest fans made it known. Your biggest fans made it known. What does that mean? I've got no idea what that's about. Okay, onwards. You are a top 10 artist for 120. Now, I find this actually spookily interesting. I don't know why. This is very weird indeed. I am a top 10 artist for 126 fans. Okay. And then a top 5 artist for 52 fans. And then I'm a number 1 artist for 7 fans. And look, at this point, I must just say, if you are one of those, 52 or whatever it was, or 7, what was it, 52 or 126 or 7, I'm humbled, really. I'm grateful and thank you. And I'm not trying to be in any way dismissive of you, the audience. I'm just, a bit exasperated with the amount of work that Spotify puts into this Spotify Wrapped, and it's sort of just weird, futile nonsense, really. Onwards. I promise not to get too cross. Oh, and that's it. We're there. This year wouldn't sound the same without you. Share your Wrapped with the fans that made it possible. Really? And one of the things that Spotify does not enable you to do is to share anything with your fans because you don't know who they are and they don't tell you. So thank you, Spotify. That's great. Thanks for advising me to do something which I really can't do. Thank you. Dear, oh God, I'll hand you back. So there we have it. Another year of Spotify for Wrapped. A whole load of labor intensive man and woman hours poured into getting that out to people all across the world. And I have to ask why. I'm sure there'll be another one next year, and it'll be just as vacuous as that one. But don't let it stop you enjoying your Spotify Wrapped in whatever way it comes to you. We've got next time round. We've got just a couple of tracks left on Organic, my most recent album from a couple of weeks ago, that we haven't yet explored, and they're both absolute crackers, and we'll have a look at those probably next time round. You take care now, and see you soon. Bye.